Doctors and nurses in Brown County pleading with parents to get their children vaccinated.
This comes after a new report from the Wisconsin Department of Health Services saying over 10% of Wisconsin students did not meet immunization requirements through K through 12 enrollment last school year. Holly Brantley spoke with doctors and nurses today about the decline, and she's live for us with more in Green Bay. Holly.
Public health nurses and doctors I spoke with today say our numbers here in Brown County are more encouraging than what they are seeing statewide. They're calling on hesitant parents to learn more.
Get the vaccine. And the reason for getting the vaccines, every vaccine that we've mandated for school means your child is at lower risk.
Dr. Thomas Huffer at HSHS St. Vincent Children's Hospital encouraging Wisconsin parents to vaccinate their children.
Not only do those vaccines protect the children who receive the vaccines, but they also protect the community as well.
New reports from the Wisconsin Department of Health Services show declining vaccination numbers for school-aged children. More than 10% of Wisconsin students did not meet immunization requirements for K through 12 enrollment last school year. That represents about 90,000 Wisconsin students and means those children are not getting at least one of the required vaccines, such as polio or measles.
And if you go back to 1900, 1/3 of babies died in their first year of life from vaccine preventable illnesses. We just don't have that experience. People don't have the experience of seeing infants and children dying of those rates. And probably the single most important thing that we did to help make that not happen anymore are our childhood vaccines and making them be mandated by the schools.
While statewide the numbers lag, he says our numbers in Northeast Wisconsin are more encouraging.
The good news is here in Green Bay, we're still doing a pretty good job.
Brown County Public Health, we and Brown County in general, our numbers are good. They're still coming in for the school year. The schools report to the state and then we get that data back.
Still, Brown County Public Health Officer Anna Nick says the new data is concerning and she encourages hesitant parents to reach out.
It's natural to have concerns, and if so, I would encourage them to learn more. Go to their primary care provider, talk to their doctor about what is best for their child, but in the end, we really want to make sure that the children have what they need to be healthy in our community.
In order for students to be in school without the mandated vaccines, parents must sign a personal conviction waiver. Parents who choose to do so tell us they believe more research is needed about the effectiveness and safety of vaccines. Reporting live in Green Bay, Holly Brantley, Action 2 News.